Okay, let's start the chapter. Okay, this is a chapter second. We're talking about the strategic leadership in IT. We'll do some introduction to strategy and roadmap. The objective of this is basically explain the full meaning of strategy and a roadmap, explaining how does a leader formulate and implement strategy, explaining the relationship among vision, mission, strategy, and roadmap, and try to connect them with IT because that would be generated by Chief Technology Officer or Chief Information Officer. But before we do that, let's take a look at what was in the 70s and why do we need now as a strategy because of all these data and information. So let's look at this one quickly.
I'd like to show you some of the 3330 disk storages that we're building here. Each module, like this one, has 2 drawers. Of course, when the unit's complete, the drawers will open automatically with the push of a button. But for now, I'll pull the drawer out manually. This single pack I'm holding with a dozen disks can store 100 million characters. We are now in another testing area of the plant. What you're seeing is the 3330's control unit. This is the box that takes orders from the central processing unit, relays them to the reading and recording heads, and transfers data to the computer. We believe the 3330 sets a new standard for information storage and retrieval, and we think the user who is moving toward large database applications in the 70s is going to like what this machine can do. He will be able to tap into as many as 800 million characters.
I don't know, is that a 1 GB? So there is a USB in my hand. It's a 16 GB. I think there is more available in the market anyway. So you see the sizing of these hardware just increase like crazy. Next slide, to accommodate what's needed. Next slide.
I'd like to show.
We will see how these, largest data centers in the world, and the reason because accommodating what's going on now in the front office and back office in general. We'll look at these links too. But before we do that, after we do that, we talk about what's strategy. What's the definition of a strategy? Originally, strategy was used as a term in the military and army from a Greek word, strategia. It's the art of a troop leader, general, or a commander to plan and apply military tactics to execute approved plan as effectively as possible during the war. So what's a tactics? We'll explain that. Strategy is the activities, the other definition is the activities to deliver a unique mix of value, choosing to perform activity differently or to perform different activities than rivals. The other definition is strategy is about shaping the future and is the human attempt to get to a desirable end with available means. So what is strategy? In general, strategy, a general plan to achieve one or more long-term or overall goals under condition of uncertainty. Now, what is a strategic leadership? That's a different thing, which means the ability to anticipate and envision the future, maintain flexibility, think forward, and influence others to voluntarily make decision and initiate change that will create a long-term competitive advantage for the organization while maintaining the short-term progress and stability. So the dimension of a strategic leadership, we start with the vision, where are we headed? And the mission, who are we? Then we get to the strategy, the third part, how do we get there? And the last thing, which is the mechanism for execution, what do we do right now? These are the four levels. You start from vision, mission, strategy, and mechanism for execution. Here's a discussion for you. Can you suggest some ways leaders can effectively communicate the vision and mission to people both inside and outside the organization? So the strategic leadership skills needed is, first, you need to anticipate the threat and opportunity, like part of the SWOT that we talked about. Challenge the status quo right now. Interpret the trend and achieve kind of an alignment with that. Now, current reality and staying in a course, also moving forward as a desired future, and that's what called a vision. So a vision, it is an attractive, ideal future that is a credible, yet readily attainable. So these has to be a credible and attainable. Not attainable yet, but can be done in the future. Example of a brief vision statement. We can take a look at these. But linking strategic vision and the strategic action will define what kind of a leader you are. You can be a dreamer. You can be the uninvolved. You can be the effective leader, and you can be the doer. So these are four situations where you can link a strategic vision and strategic action. It depends on the vision and action. Now, what's a mission then? Mission is the organization core, broad purpose, and a reason for existence, why they are exist. And according to that, you build then what is your IT strategy. And the IT strategy is a comprehensive plan consisting of objective, principle, and tactics that outline the use of technology within a particular organization to meet business and IT goals. What you saw in the higher education, breakdown of IT solution. The strategy and choose between them and when we should start. The strategy includes the formal vision that guide the acquisition, allocation, and management of IT resources so it can help fulfill the organization objectives. The IT strategy should always align with the overall strategy and direction of the organization, and we explained that earlier. Now, if we look at the most used terminology today in the IT, which is IT cloud or cloud strategy. So what is cloud strategy? A cloud strategy is a plan an organization follows to transition and host its IT infrastructure in a cloud environment by outlining the cloud architect, development plans, and government model. Cloud strategies help to ensure effectively performance of the infrastructure, the workload, and the application hosted in the cloud, and also to balance the benefit with reducing the risk exposure. But what's there as a cloud for us? And this is a sample of what there in a cloud, and we will stop by to explain all these different cloud, which is called the IT service management. Now, what is the purpose of a cloud strategy? It's first to identify the key benefits of a cloud service consumption that apply to your organization. Then determine which service you will build internally and which service will be consumed from a public cloud provider's partner. Identify the partnership your organization has or is developing with the public cloud provider, approved service provider. Then you communicate the approved service provider and the associated service. And the process to have a service or a service provider added to approved list. Then determine the governance, policies, procedures for the cloud services and environment. Determine the protection needed to a cloud environment to reduce the risk to data privacy, service cost, resource availability, etc. So how to create a strategy? First, you need to gather facts. How do you gather the facts is to know where you are heading. You have to know where you are right now. So where you're heading and where are you right now? Determine what worked well, what could have been better, and what opportunity lay ahead. The second step, you need to develop a vision statement. Describe the future directions as you saw it earlier. Develop a mission statement. Define the purpose. Why are you doing that? And the fourth step, you need to identify a strategic objective, which is SMART. Your objective must be SMART, specific, measurable, realistic, and time related. Then you need to develop an execution plan, describe at a high level how to strategy will turn into actionable items. And also you need to describe how the strategy will be executed. The sixth one is monitoring and performance management, or KPI. Describe how you will monitor the strategy to ensure it's achieving its objective and to ensure it will always up to date. Now, define the criteria and the parameter to measure these performance. This is for defining the KPIs, in other words. This is a sample of IT. So you will see that the Homeland Security, they were our client, and information technology strategic plan. And then you have what you call Boston College IT strategy. And these are different IT strategy is built. Now, what is a roadmap then? A roadmap is a high-level visual representation of a strategy. it's bridge between the strategy and the execution because showing you the roadmap. And this is an example of IT roadmap. We'll look at it and explain it. Another one is sample of a strategy roadmap. That's an IT roadmap. This is a strategy roadmap, and this involved in planning, strategy, service development, and business intelligence solution. So we will look at this one too. Here is another sample about back to the cloud migration and how we can do it within timeline and business agilities and to move to the cloud. Explain that. Thank you. Take a look at this group project, the last slides.